you know, how's everything been going? He says, oh, dude, I've been crushing it. I made $5 grand last week. I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, it's my close rate literally went through the roof. And he said it was, you know, it was all from that video. All right, guys, so far into the Inception 8-Step Flow series, right, we've covered why identity is important. You know the importance of focusing on identity for the prospects so we can get them to move forward. But remember, the goal here of this entire series of me teaching you this process is to put yourself in a position to qualify. Qualifying is literally everything. We don't want to go into it having to sell anyone on anything, right? We want to put ourselves to be able to qualify to make sure we're getting people who are a good fit for our products and services or someone else's if that's what you're closing, and put them in a position to sell themselves to you. That is what this is all about, and this is the process that we use for our own team in the B2B space, and I've taught this to multiple other closers and ran teams for other organizations, and I promise you guys, this works, right? And I'll give you guys examples and tell you a story about how this was implemented in multiple occasions. But before we go into the series of an overview of the 8 steps, we're gonna cover this first. And today we're talking about actually planting that seed, right? Just like in the movie, when they go deep into their mind, right? And they have to go and get into the lockbox and then plant the folder so that the person, the prospect, has as their idea. We want to be able to do that in our efforts before we get into incorporating the sales process of the Inception 8 steps. And here's why. Why? Because you want to be able to leverage something, because actually some of the steps involves leveraging what it is that you planted, which is worthless if you don't plant it. So what do I mean by that? Well, for example, right, any type of social proof, belief, idea, philosophy, business model, whatever it is, and just for the sake of purposes, let's keep it simple, right? Let's say you are in health and wellness and you're selling a product on, or a course or a program or coaching on keto, right? And again, and maybe you are a B2B company and you offer SEO services, search engine optimization, SEO, right? Well, what we want to do is we want to leverage something to be able to implant why keto or SEO is going to be a good fit to get results and to achieve whatever it is that you know your market wants, right? And this is as easy as literally finding social proof or case studies or anything that you can online. And maybe if you're closing for an organization, they already have these things, right? So anything you can leverage, you want to put in place. And this is done through some kind of video. So you want your prospect to see something before you get on to actual closing call, okay? So outbound, if you're doing outbound, it's a little bit different. You still have to go through the process, your introduction to get a booked appointment. But before the booked appointment, the leverage must still happen. We even use this today. So let's say I was going to do a video on keto, or I'm closing for someone's organization, or I'm starting my own business for keto, right? It's very simple. All I got to do is, if I already have case studies, and one thing that a lot of people and a lot of influencers, entrepreneurs will do is they have a webinar, right? Well, guess what, guys? A webinar can be leveraged. It's already done. So in a webinar, if you're closing for an organization and they have a webinar, especially if this is inbound, more than likely, as I came in to book this call and you're having the sales conversation, they already watched the webinar. Well, cool. Guess what? The purpose of the webinar means that the seed has been planted, right? The job is done. You know that they watched the webinar, it overturned all these beliefs of why keto is a good fit, right? But let's say you don't have a webinar, then what do, right? Maybe you're doing outbound or you're in B2B and you're just getting going. You want to find something that you can online of some kind of social proof, literally going over the statistics of why keto is beneficial or the statistics of why SEO is beneficial, so that you can go ahead and just record a quick video, have the prospect watch that video ahead of time so that you can actually leverage it later. Remember, the entire goal is we don't want you to have to convince them of why keto or SEO is a good fit compared to what they're already doing. You want the prospect to already be sold on it and put them in a position to where you can see where they are, how qualified they are, what their belief is already into this. So let me give you an example. I was coaching an individual. This was about a year and a half ago, and I don't remember what country he lived in. He lived in another country, and he was selling. He got paid commissions. I want to say like $1,500. It was either $1,000, $1,500 per sale every time he enrolled someone into an online university. Okay, so he wanted my help and my advice to help him close, and we were on the coach call, and he was selling them into this program for online university. So he gets paid if students come and they enroll. So, but for this online university, go university. So I asked him, I said, okay, cool. Well, what kind of, how does this work? So they go and they enroll in university. He's like, well, just like with any other university, they have to apply, they have to get accepted. And he said, but they want to collect deposits down for tuition, right? So whatever the main tuition amount was for this online university, he had to collect payment for it. And if he got them enrolled, they got approved, it could be financing or whatever, he'd get paid a commissions, okay? So I went through and I said, let's listen to some of your calls. Start recording your calls, let's go through it, and I will help you build out a script and stuff and see what needs to be leveraged. So come to find out, one of the biggest things, so what I told him is like, what we don't want to happen is we don't want to have to compare and sell them on why the university is a good fit for them, right? So I asked him, I was like, what's kind of the big thing that comes up the most? Like, what's the university known for? I don't remember what he said. I think it might have been like arts or like med school. Actually getting them to go for like anything like dentistry, anything medical, like as an online platform. And they're really well known. They've won awards and all that stuff for it, right? And his demographic of the people he's on the phone, most of the time they do want their kids to go to med school. So because he understood that the audience, I told him, is like, you can't think of it from the kid's perspective, because the person that's going to be paying the tuition is going to be the parents. So what I said was, instead of you having to get on the phone and deal with any type of resistance, what I want you to do is I want you to go onto the university's website, and I want you to pull it up, and I want you to talk about the results that students have gotten on the through going to the program. And I said, now, using your head on this, right? Why would someone want to go to university and get a good education, right? The end goal isn't just to get the education, right? The end goal is for them to actually get a good high-paying position, right? That's common sense. So you want to really think about that when you're really being creative when it comes to what kind of seed that you're going to want to plant. So knowing that, I had him pull up the studies of how many percentage of people that come from this university actually get hired in a job in that field, right? And he found it on the website, and I had him go and record a video, doing a screen share, literally pulling up, showing the studies, talking about it, and saying what the benefit is of going to the university and how at theirs they have these type of stats that they're proud of, right? In fact, students that come in here have an X amount % chance of getting hired in this type of position. And here's the general annual income that they are making, right? One little tweak. He did this video, and when we had our call coming up, it was like either a month later or 2 weeks later. I don't remember. This is a month and a half. This is a year and a half ago. I was like, hey, cool. How's everything been going? He says, oh, dude, I've been crushing it. I made $5,000 last week. I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, it's my close rate literally went through the roof. And he said it was all from that video. And so that's what I mean by being able to follow it and have something to leverage, right? So because he did that, because he actually planted the seed on talking about the statistics, really knowing his audience and planting that seed, short video on a screen share, and just finding something online and leveraging it, he was able to put himself in a position to where they already knew that the results were possible, and he was able to lean on that video through his closing process, okay? So before we get into the 8 steps, before we get anything, I want you guys to know this must be done. And in fact, your seed that you plant is going to get better and better over time, right? As you run into resistance, as you run into objections, whatever it may be, whatever the beliefs they have, or whatever kind of social proof that you need to have and you can show. And what's funny is through this process, when I got started, even B2B agency from zero, literally, guys, you can leverage something online and find social proof related to studies that does not have to be related to something you've already accomplished, right? If I wanted to start a business in the health field, and I'm like really passionate and I'm like ripped and jacked and I do ketogenic diet, but I haven't had any case studies yet, and I know that this is my passion. I know I'm going to go and sell coaching packages for high ticket. Again, guys, don't put in forth this type of effort to get on the phone with somebody and close low ticket or B2C. Like this, you want to be high ticket for this. If I want to start keto, I would literally go on and I would find all the studies for ketogenic diet. I would find people who have gotten results, leverage my own results, and let them know, hey, look, this is what happened with Sarah and Bob, and here's the results they got in this amount of time from ketogenic diet. Here's why keto worked. And then boom, show them the study, show them everything, right? And you don't have to say, like, obviously you got to be ethical about this, right? You don't say that I got them these results, right? When you're on the phone with them, you literally just say, like, hey, this is what's possible. I'm starting my coaching program. And you can literally give them a discount because you're just getting up and running, but who cares? Getting any type of case studies from helping those individuals at a discount, now guess what you get to do? You go back to the seed that you planted and you make it better, right? I've talked about this in multiple videos before on this channel. You want to go from here's what's possible, right? Here's what's possible. I'm gonna go what's possible to I did this, right? So if you're watching this and you have your own business and you're trying to start up your own like coaching program or something high ticket, or you're doing B2B, whatever it is, and you're literally starting from day one and you're starting from zero, right? All you gotta do is just find something, craft some kind of video, leverage studies, facts, statistics, and social proof. And before you start your sales process, incorporate what I'm gonna teach you in the series of this channel. You wanna make sure that you actually plant that seed. Say, hey, here's what's possible, right? You know, I'm super pumped and excited to go and teach everything that I know and start helping people, but here's what's possible. Here's what happened with this individual and this individual, right? And then after you get your case studies, you go back and you re-record it and you take out here's what's possible and you include I did this, right? Now, finally, what else can be leveraged? If you're not doing this for your own business and you're in a closing position for another company, let's say it's a very well-known company, or maybe you're closing for an influencer, right? Let's just use something like Mark Cuban, right? Let's say Mark Cuban is your, the owner of the company that you closed for, right? What kind of seed is going to be planted? Well, it's already done, right? Mark Cuban already has tons of credibility. Right, more than likely, especially if they came in from marketing efforts, right? If this is inbound and they're spending money, whether it's a webinar or an ad or something, well, odds are they've probably seen Shark Tank, right? So now we know that this seed is planted, and you could still be crafty, whatever the idea is that you're doing. So like, let's say Mark Cuban was doing an SEO company, right? Now you have more stuff that gets to be planted. I would still plant the seed on why SEO, which is what you need them to believe is going to be the good fit for them to move forward. And now in the sales conversation, you're going to also get to leverage Mark Cuban, right? The more we take off of our shoulders, the less skill is going to be involved. And when less skill is involved, the easier it is to duplicate for other people, right? Because the goal here is duplication and growth to get more sales, get more revenue, and actually build a business, right? Or if you're just closing for somebody else, and maybe one day you're going to oversee a team, and if you knock this out of the park, and that influencer or that owner will want to give you more responsibility, now you get paid higher commissions, you're going to have other responsibility, and you want to be able to do something that's duplicatable. So that's it for this video. Make sure that you really take the time to think about this, really take the time to see what kind of resistance and objections you're running into or you think you're going to run into, and go ahead and start crafting and thinking about a video that you can create. And don't overcomplicate this, guys. I'm serious. You don't need fancy cameras or anything. You can literally hop on your damn computer, put it on screen share, go on Google, find case studies, pull them up, record it, talk about it, say why, show them the facts and statistics to back it up, and then just knock it out. Take blind action, prep this, tweak it over time, take action, make it better. I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to dive into an overview of the 8 steps and how it works. If you guys like this channel, make sure that you subscribe. If you found this valuable, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.